Hey everybody, welcome to another Making a Geek. I am Damon DiCarlo. I am with Miss Emily Turner. Hi.
Hi.
I'm also with James Creviston
How's it going?
and Miss Michaela Myers.
Hello.
Welcome everybody to yet another episode of Michaela looking like a Force ghost. If you're watching the YouTube, she definitely looks like Qui-Gon Jinn.
Both the highest compliment and something that concerns me a bit.
I love those memes going around that you were saying about how he, has
Yeah.
like a vacation apparel, just going, well, finally.
Yeah,
Those are wild.
the umbrella hat. About bloody time, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
Super stoked. We are going to
Should we have said spoilers before that? Should we have said spoilers if you haven't seen?
I'm gonna say
I-
you put that in the title.
Yeah, I was going to put that in the title.
that's-
Of the
okay,
thing, like-
fair enough. Fair
It's
enough.
still newish enough where I should be definitely putting that on there. It's not like
So
the other thing.
Spoilers, everyone. If you haven't watched Obi-Wan, we're gonna spoil a lot for you.
Yeah. The other one we
Yeah.
covered with Spider-Man, I figured everyone had already seen it, so.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would think that you're not looking into podcasts about a show if you haven't watched it yet.
Exactly.
That would be my.
You would hope.
I just think that you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot then, if that's what you're doing.
Or they just like
Spoiler alert, Anakin is Darth Vader.
everyone's going to just go crazy now.
Extra spoiler.
Yeah.
He looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
Still has asthma, by the way.
Oh God. Yeah, the
Well, now we know. Now we know why his asthma's worse, though, right? Now we know that.
Let's just dive into it. So we're doing a coverage here in our review, a very sophisticated numbered review of what we thought of Obi-Wan. But first, we'll just get into it. Obi-Wan Kenobi, the show, now has been fully released, all glorious 6 episodes of it in 4K glory and whatnot. And this is in between episodes 3 and episodes 4, before Rogue One and before Han Solo, the story of Han Solo. So let's just dive into it. I want to dive in to talk about what we thought as fans. We're all Star Wars fans here. Everyone listening is no doubt Star Wars fans here. And let's just start with Michaela. What did you think of Obi-Wan? Some thoughts to kick us off. What you think that you liked, didn't like, stuff like that.
I wish I had more than an hour.
Oh. Wow.
It was fabulous. I mean, I have a couple of friends who say that they were a little bit bored with it, but that's only because they haven't given other avenues of Star Wars a shot, or they did and they just kind of glossed over it, not really paying attention.
Mhm.
And I tell them, I'm saying, when you watch Obi-Wan Kenobi, you need to watch other parts of Star Wars first, because you need to truly understand the emotional intensity that's going on here. And we knew that it was going to be emotionally intense. I mean, I was totally bracing for that, but I didn't anticipate being punched in the gut quite that hard. And I did, because, I've seen Revenge of the Sith and it's an epic fight scene, but that final battle was just emotionally heart-wrenching. I mean, it absolutely did me in. Excuse my dog. It did me in. It really did. I mean, it was the best Star Wars battle that I had ever seen since Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah,
I
that
will
was
say
nuts.
that.
And that to me is like probably my favorite of the lightsaber battles. James, did you also watch this thinking that it was going to be one of the greatest maybe duels of all time between them two again?
I didn't know we were gonna get another duel. Because we're all so used to the Episode 4 duel, where Obi-Wan sacrifices himself, and that's
Right.
kind of all you've seen. But unless you've seen, Episode 3 where they fight, and spoiler alert, he pretty much beats the crud out of Anakin, and then Anakin, it's left for dead. And so you think like, okay, those are all that we're ever gonna get. That's all that ever existed. That's not true. This lightsaber battle was epic, and
Yeah.
I mean, at first you're like, we all know that Obi-Wan doesn't die, but at first you're like, he could kill Obi-Wan right here. Like, he could. He's strong enough. He's angry enough. He's powerful enough. This is the end. And then when he buries him under all the rocks and stuff, you're like, how does he get out of this? And then the comeback from that is just amazing. And you're like, that's all. And he smashes his helmet, and you see his face, and it's just like, wow. Like they really put a lot of effort into it. The
Yes.
biggest beef I have with the entire series is that it's supposed to be set 10 years after episode 3, okay? Leia is not 10 years old. Luke is not 10 years old. They were born at the end of episode 3. So Leia's like 7 or something. Like she's not even, I don't even think
Yeah.
she's 10, right?
Yeah.
So there's some kind of
I see what you're
time
saying.
discrepancy here.
I didn't think about
Uh,
that.
Yeah. That annoyed me the whole time because I was like, she's supposed to be 10. She looks like she's like 7. So,
Right.
and I think
Yeah.
I don't know if they mention her age directly, but I don't think they ever say she's 10, but it's supposed to be like 10 years after episode 3. And
They
we all
ever
know
explicitly say that it was 10 years after, though?
They did
all
that in
the,
the first episode, didn't they?
I
don't
think
know
they
for
do
now.
say like 10 years later, like at some point,
Some
but it's
point.
supposed to be after that. And the my favorite part besides all of that was that we had all the like Sith Inquisitors and stuff like that. For me
Right.
was like, you have brought the expanded universe to us. We're able to have it. I'm still waiting for a live action Grand Admiral Thrawn. I'm
Mhm.
still waiting for a lot of those pieces to come, but this really made me happy. And as long as they keep this going and we get the expanded universe, what we have now, and we keep building upon that, I'll be happy.
It's
Yeah.
funny that you say that, James, that you touched upon the Sith and the Inquisitors, because that is what annoyed me, because I felt like they didn't stay true to the design of the Grand Inquisitor. And I was very unhappy with that. You know, we got the Grand Inquisitor in Star Wars Rebels, which I do encourage everybody to watch. Even though there are some that say that that's not canon, it's still a spectacular show. But anyway, we get the Grand Inquisitor in that show, and he's absolutely he's the best.
Yeah.
He is amazing. He's terrifying. He's intimidating. He's intense. He's everything we expect and want out of a Grand Inquisitor. And then we get the live action Grand Inquisitor, which I was really looking forward to. And I was completely unimpressed. I didn't care for his design. This is a personal preference. I didn't care for how he was designed with the makeup. I felt that was incorrect. I didn't care for the voice that they chose for him. He wasn't intimidating at all in that respect. He sounded like a squeaky toy. And the fact that he came back, like we all know what happened. He came back. How? I understand that there's a way where he can come back. There are ways where he can, but they leave it unexplained. So you're just like, what the heck? So as far as the Grand Inquisitors go, I was very disappointed in that respect. But
You don't think that it could have had anything to do with like back to tank? Like
Everything's the back to tank. If
Yeah.
that's their new midichlorians, like back
it's
to
like
tank.
they brought back Anakin, or they resurrected Vader, who was basically at the brink of death. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them to be able to do something like that with another. You know, if Vader or whoever decided to do that, then obviously they have the information of who did this to you. You know,
Right.
so
I'm not mad at the fact that they did it. I'm mad at the way they did it and
Just
the
lack of
fact that they left it
explanation.
unexplained.
yeah.
Execution is everything. Speaking of Inquisitor and execution, I really want to give it up for Moses Ingram as Reva. She was amazing. It was great to see a woman of color being in major role here in Star Wars. It was interesting to see her in the episodes get to a point where you thought, not only is she just this evil person at first, like trying to get Obi-Wan, but then it became deeper in the story, knowing that she became what was before one of the younglings in episode 3 that didn't get
Yes.
executed. And that was just amazing to see what would have happened if one of them survived. I think that was a great play on that story. A very hard-hitting story, especially given the timing of what things are happening in this country regarding, mass shootings, things like that. So it was a very hard hit. It was a very great way to express this character's battle between what was morally right and just a quest for revenge. So I really appreciated her. I think she was great.
It does open the door for a lot of other stories now that we know that like some younglings did survive, right? Because they're not going to be those only ones. But now we're going to get to see other Padawans possibly that live, because there are stories and comics and other media about additional Padawans that did survive, their masters being killed by the Republic. So This it was good. It opened doors, and yes, they did a great job of tricking you into believing this person is evil when really their whole motivation was to strike down Anakin because he killed everybody else, right?
Right.
Like, what a crazy turn of events. The whole time you're
Yes.
going, wow, she's terrible, she's evil, she's the worst. She just wants the power, right? The whole time we're thinking she
Mhm.
wants to be the Grand Inquisitor. At least that's what I thought. And then you get to the end and you find out, oh no, that's not the case. She did this. She's the spy. She's inside. She wants to strike him down, and not even to like be the best, but just revenge. And then walk away is what it seemed like. And so it was a beautiful way to do it. And yeah, she was amazing.
I don't.
No,
I have an issue with her character because it's like I understand her backstory, having been a youngling, and then she's exacting her revenge, but it's at the cost of all of these people's lives.
Right.
She's no better than him, and it turns out, again, spoiler, but she ends up attempting to kill him, basically being left for dead, somehow not dying. Because I mean, that was another
Yeah.
thing. Why didn't Vader just
offer.
chop her head off or something? I mean, it could have been done at the click of his fingers, and
Yeah.
it didn't happen. So she's left for dead. It's obvious she was gonna be getting back up or something. But then she's on this mission to basically find him, and it's just like, well, what is the purpose here? What are you gonna get out of this? Now you're gonna have his kid, and what? You're gonna reattempt to persuade some. You want to get your job back? Like, I don't know what you want.
It's almost like she went on some sort of suicide mission. She wasn't planning or thinking. She just was acting on rage and
There
just
was no
revenge.
side
Yeah.
that she was on here. She
Yeah.
was completely acting by selfish interest alone, and I'm not even sure what her goal was. And I mean, like, I understand that her goal was to try and get Vader, but it's like, no matter how much you infiltrate it from the inside, the guy knows you're coming. Like,
Yeah.
this is inevitable.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's just like you were a youngling. You didn't finish your training. Don't think that you have the anywhere near degree
Yeah.
of consciousness that this guy has. Right.
I think there's a certain realm of naivety in this whole thing with what people very much underestimating
Blinded
Vader at
by
this point.
Hatred. That's what the best way.
Blinded by hatred.
Blinded by hatred.
But also underestimating Vader's power at this point. He doesn't have like a huge reputation per se yet. Like the guy is pretty new at this whole being Vader. I'm sure he has a bit of a reputation as Anakin, but at this point, being Vader itself, I think it develops a little bit more over time. So,
I
Well, especially
agree.
because there's multiple Sith, right? You know,
Yeah.
right,
I agree with the view that she was going after the child for revenge. I mean, yeah, she was acting on rage. She was going for revenge. And I think she just did that
But
to
who
show
was the
him
revenge against?
against Vader because
Vader.
because he took everything from her, all of her, brothers and sisters, her fellow Padawans, her mentors, the Jedi. He took everything from her. So she wanted to take a huge part of him away. But again, what I find fault with is the fact that it was, again, poorly executed because she should have died from that wound. I don't mind the fact that she went after the child out as far as revenge goes. I get that. I understand it. But the fact that she was like running and doing parkour and doing like this whole trek and everything with that gigantic wound, at first she's limping, but now she's a runner, she's a track star. I don't understand how that was able to play out like that. But I have respect for her motive, at least. Like, I understand where she's coming from. I just think it was poorly executed.
yeah, they should have done something better, like lobbed off her hand or something, right?
Yeah.
Where we get, and that would have been a great scene too, right? Because then you get the throwback to Luke and all that. Like, you get a lot of like similarities. That would have been better, I think. I agree. Her getting stabbed, you're like, you're not running after that. Like, half of
No.
your body has been just burned,
Yeah.
from a lightsaber.
They showed her.
Yeah.
I thought she died at first. And then,
Yeah.
no, I guess she's like actually alive. But she looked dead at first.
right.
Yeah.
That's what I thought was going to happen. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what they wanted us to believe.
Yeah.
Of course.
These episodes were released every week, so it was a nice little cliffhanger, so to speak, on certain areas. which I hate. I hate that. I love binging. That's the thing. I think you as well as me. I'd like to
Yeah.
binge through everything. But going on to the next part of giving it up, I really, really, really can't have this podcast episode without giving it up for James Earl Jones yet again. The guy is
The king.
amazing.
How old is he? Like
He's
90
92, I want to
something?
say, and killing it. I mean, he still kills it, so to speak, on a play of words.
Fantastic.
But he's just so great. I don't know. I think if James Earl Jones passes, I mean, there's just no way. I think Vader will continue. I just don't see how anybody could fill those shoes.
No, they'll just use his voice and clips and everything and clip it all together and edit it.
Yeah.
It'll just be like a deep fake style video. They'll be able to do it. Don't worry.
They
They
can
freaking
blend it.
made Grand Moff Tarkin came back, okay, in a movie and
true.
had lines. Come on,
That's
guys.
true.
We can do anything now.
I guess I feel it's hard to replicate James Earl Jones's voice, but I think you're onto something. I think it'd be only him that could replicate him.
Right, and we've all done it in the fan, so I think we can make it happen, right? We've all done the Luke, I am your father. Like we've done the thing. Like we all can do it. It's very possible, very doable. Somebody can do it. There's probably someone on the Simpsons staff that can do it right now. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it's fine. We're okay. I mean, yes, will it be sad? 100%. It'll be a bummer. But Star Wars, I'm hoping, will go on for generations and generations, Like my great grandkids will be watching Star Wars, and I'll be in the old folks' home, and they'll be like, Grandpa, did you see the new Star Wars? I wanted to see Star Wars Episode 300, but I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Episode
Like,
300.
Yeah, it'll be there. Don't
We'll
worry.
get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Celebration of 300th
They're gonna
episode.
milk this as long as they can.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
Let's also talk about Hayden Christensen coming back. The guy that
Yeah.
never ages.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm convinced he actually did just like sell his soul to some Sith Lord, and like
It's called Lucasfilms.
This is how he's just remained the exact same face. I mean, he looked a little bit. He looked like he just had like a really long flight.
Yeah.
Like that's the extent of his aging. He just looks
20-year
a little,
flight.
He just looks like a little dried out,
Yeah.
and like like he needs some hydration, like a bit of moisturizer, but like and some sleep. But that's it. Like this.
Maybe
guy
there's
is-
a real back to tank somewhere. Maybe that really already exists.
It's real, kids. It's real.
I think that's fair though. After everything he went through, I think that was fine.
Yeah.
That he looked like that.
I think that for all of
Ewan
guys,
McGregor still looked good, right? Can we all
Ewan
agree he
McGregor-
still looked good? It
I was
was
gonna
like
say, I just told Emily it's not. I mean, it's not like he doesn't look like he aged, but he aged very. I don't
Very
even want to
well.
say gracefully.
I
Really
would
good.
say appropriately for the storyline.
Yes,
You
of
know,
course.
Where he picks up, or where episode 4 picks up, and it's like, okay, well now we have this played by someone else, and it's gonna be someone who looks far older than what he looks like right now. So, they have to age him to an extent. I mean, he may not naturally be aging that fast either. Who knows how much of it is actually makeup, and he just like is glowing underneath.
Now here's the
Well,
question:
Tatooine
at some point, because remember they put Hayden Christensen as a ghost at one point. I forgot which movie they put him back. They put him into
In
as a
episode
ghost.
Return of the
6.
Jedi.
Yeah.
As Return of the Jedi, where they put him in as a ghost instead.
Right.
And is there a point where we get old Ewan McGregor being CGI'd in the place of the traditional Obi-Wan Kenobi? Like, do we get that at some point?
I would
Does
be
that happen?
sobbing. But
Sobbing?
I would be sobbing.
But why
Okay.
would
That
we?
would
I
happen.
don't think that. I don't know. I just don't know if that's necessary. I think that the actor who played
I didn't say it was necessary. I'm just saying we know how these things go.
Right.
sure, but
right.
I think that it's like that's taking away someone else's entire.
I agree.
I don't think we
No.
should take away anything from Alec Guinness. I think.
Yeah, I think
No,
that
no.
He did a great job
Yeah.
when he did it in what was this, the 70s, 80s?
Yeah, 77 was the first one.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I wouldn't want to take that like legacy away from that guy. Like, yeah, Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor is gonna have this entire portion of his journey. I think that it's appropriate that there's like two different actors portraying two different parts
Versions,
of the person's
eras.
life. The first part and the second part.
Right.
You never look the same as you were when you were like
Now,
10.
are we gonna get more Obi-Wan Kenobi stories? Is there more to come, or is this just okay? This is one thing to lead into
Right.
something else, or what? Like that's what I'm excited about too. Is
I would
there's so much world to have still.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I also wouldn't be disappointed if they stopped here. And now I'm not saying I don't want it. I do want it. But I mean, there's only so much you can tell in
Yeah.
between 3 and 4.
Right.
I
Well,
think it's
how many years are between 3 and 4?
that's
It's
a
like
very good
30
question.
years, isn't it? It's like
Has to be.
I think
anyway.
you'd have to use Rogue One as the timestamp.
Well, in A
because-
New Hope, Luke is 19, isn't he? Or is he older?
yeah.
than
So if he's supposed to, yeah, I think he's like
Yes,
19.
he is. Yeah. He's over the age of 18 for sure. That's how
Yeah.
he was able to join the
And he knows of Ben, but he doesn't know him well. It's
Well,
like,
he only knows
oh,
him as
old
Ben.
Ben, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't understand how much story they could do, or I don't predict how much story they could do and still keep Luke's view of him the same as that when he
Right.
gets older. So we have to wait and see.
I wonder if maybe they'll have him, how we're having a lot of these like offshoots in, for example, we had Mandalorian, we had Boba Fett, we have all of these other like side journeys now that we get to see from just different perspectives of different characters, and they have nothing to do with any of the other characters. But I wonder if maybe he'll be featured in other series that come
Yeah.
up, as part
I
of
can see that better.
as part of a storyline that they have. There's an interaction there somewhere, and I think that would, like, fans would love that, if
Yeah.
out of nowhere you're like, holy crap, it's
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor. Oh my
I can
god.
see them doing that with Ahsoka coming up. I
Yeah.
can see it happening.
Ewan McGregor is not done by any means. His recent interview said, "I'm down for more if the fans want more," and I think
Of
Hayden
course.
Christensen's the same way too.
course.
They're ready to do more. So,
So you're right. Episode 4, A New Hope, is 19 years after Revenge of the Sith.
okay,
So technically he should be like 22, I think, right?
right around
Because
there.
this is 10, like, yeah, I mean, it might be 19, but I mean, 19 or 20, somewhere. Luke's around that age. He might be 21 at the oldest. But
He's old
there's
enough to
a
have
lo-
his own blue milk spiked.
right. Well, here's the other thing, though. How old is Obi-Wan supposed to be at this point? Like, what's his age? Because in 19 years, you're telling me he goes from what looks like a 40-year-old man to what is a 70-year-old man? Like, Tatooine's like must be a hard place to live if you age
There
that
aren't
fast,
Clinique de-aging
Bro.
products on Tatooine or anything.
There's at least one bantha take or one back to take on there because our boy got one. So there's at least one somewhere around there somewhere. I'm just saying.
I'd be quicker to believe there's a bantha take, like you said.
Maybe the Jawas can hook
Yeah,
them up.
the Jawas can steal anything, bro. They're the dudes on your street that's the hookup for everything that you need.
For real. For real.
They're my favorite.
I think that it was really awesome. I saw this meme. It wasn't even a meme. It was just like this post on Facebook someone did that if you get this whole relationship with Leia, little Leia here, played by Vivian Blair, who did fantastic.
Great job.
That relationship with Obi-Wan, and she called him old Ben or just Ben. Really makes sense why her son's name is Ben in the newer sequels. I didn't even think about that, and that was a very touching thing to post because I just never realized, and that makes much more sense why Leia and Han would name their son Ben. So that was cool that they did that, and that she got to call him Ben for the longest time in this show, because they had a really great relationship together.
While you're there, I just want to touch on the fact that scene where she and Obi-Wan it was all quiet and it was all sad and like it was kind of like smoke after a forest fire. When she and Ben held hands and just said nothing, that made me cry.
Yeah.
Because
It was a very good moment.
For some reason, the weight of the emotional intensity of that, like just the emotions themselves that the incredible acting was portraying, it carried over. Somehow it was relatable, where it's a quiet moment of you're just seeking that human interaction, that human touch, and it's a comfort in itself. after something terrible that you've been through. And it was so good. No words were said. It was just all action, all emotions, all feeling. And it was incredible. One of my favorite moments of the show.
What I liked about it too is also ties into why she would reach out to Obi-Wan at the beginning of episode 4, right? Because we all go,
Yeah.
this dude's a hermit on some weird planet. Like, why is this princess reaching out to him? But now you go, oh, she has this memory, this adventure with this man who saved her life, who brought her back, who like went through everything. I mean, that's a lot to go through for as a kid, real fast. And now that's who she'd reach out to in her time of need. Because before, in her last time of need, when she was abducted, that's who came for her. So that's who I would call too. You know what I'm saying? It's a very interesting way of tying it all together where you don't like if you watch the original, or episode 4, you watch it and you go, okay, she's just reaching out to this old Jedi master that she's maybe heard of or something, or whatever. No biggie. Like, we don't know. But now you have insight into why she would actually do that. And it's a great thing because even though it's like retconning the whole thing, you're getting pieces of why people did these things later on in the series that you had no clue. That just seemed like, oh, that's of course how you get this story started. You need a catalyst here, but this really, really sets you up, and I loved it. I would like to see an Obi-Wan 2. I'd like to see, I want to see the rise of Boba Fett. Like, that's really the story I want to see. I want it because, remember, his dad, Jango, dies, right? And then he runs away as a child, and then next thing we know, we see him older, right? We see old Boba Fett.
Yeah.
That's it. We don't see this rise of Boba Fett, which is what I definitely want to see, especially as, like, Ahsoka exists in the world, Obi-Wan's out there, Darth Vader's still out there. How does he go to be... I mean, isn't it Anakin that cuts... Or no, it's who cuts her Jango's head off? Is it, no, it's Samuel L. Jackson, right? Doesn't he do it?
Yeah, Mace Windu.
Mace
Windu does it, right? So, but still, Anakin was a Jedi, and he was there. Like, why would Boba Fett work for him? That's a good storyline too. There's so many pieces here that we could do.
According to Clone Wars, they had interaction when Anakin was a Jedi, when Boba was just a child. So there's definite history there, but we'd like to know more of the history, Of
course.
I agree. Yeah. That would be great.
Also, can we get one cool Mandalorian Jedi, like a legit Mandalorian that's also a Jedi, please, at some point? Not Darksaber, but a legitimate Jedi Mandalorian. Armor, he doesn't have to have the helmet either. Just armor and like all the jetpack and dual lightsabers. That's what I want.
You're reminding me of like kids in school when I was a school back when there was school when I was a little kid, right? And there was always like, I want Tyrannosaurus, I want a Stegosaurus, I want an Allosaurus. I want them all together.
I want a Wookiee Mandalorian, and I stand by that statement.
Ooh, Wookiee Mandalorian.
Can that work though? Because I thought Mandalorians had to be from Mandalore, which means they are all human.
But
so that might.
Can't he just be a foundling?
He wasn't from Mandalore. He was adopted, essentially.
Jango was. Jango was a Mandalorian, was a legit Mandalorian,
yeah,
but
Jango was.
But Boba is a clone of Jango, so technically, yes, he is also a Mandalorian. If you think about it, I mean, logically,
by what appearance?
Blood, blood by bloodline. I mean, he's just a clone of him.
Yeah, that's true.
They do exist, but I would love to see. Also, I know that the history of Mandalore and the Jedi's is very, tense and whatever. So there might not ever be a real Jedi Mandalorian, but I would like to see it. There are Jedi Wookiees, though.
Still hoping.
So let's talk about Qui-Gon Jinn coming in.
Yeah.
So what did we think of that? Because did we all expect that? I did. I just knew it. I
screamed.
I didn't know ahead of time at all.
It was inevitable. I mean, the number of times he mentions it or is like attempting to conjure him up somewhere out of thin air, but it had to happen. It was just foreshadowing, in my opinion.
Agreed. I thought we would get voice. I didn't think we would get a Force Ghost. Like, I didn't think we were going to get that. I thought we would get voice, for sure. Like, we would get a voice version of this, speaking to him. Kind of like how Luke got Obi-Wan's voice when he's flying the X-Wing and the Death. That I got. Like, I was like, yeah, we'll get that. But I did not expect a Force Ghost. That was like, woo, that's awesome. So.
Yeah.
I guess maybe Force Ghosts have Clinique products because Liam Neeson looked pretty good to me. I mean, I thought he looked pretty good. So.
See, that guy looks exactly the same. He really
He
does.
does.
Exactly the same. I have a certain set of Jedi skills.
I have a particular set of skills. Yeah.
Classic. And I think that they were expecting, to deliver something after the big reveal in Mandalorian. Spoiler alert, when Luke Skywalker shows up at the end of season 2, or is it 3? 2. Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think in like manner they think, well, we got to do something big here. Like something big has got to happen for this ending, and I'm glad that they did that. The only other thing that could have been just as surprising, and maybe they'll do in the next one, is if maybe Darth Maul happens to come out.
What I wouldn't give. Can he say more than 2 words this time for something live action, please? Because in Clone Wars, the guy doesn't shut up, and it's like wonderful.
Yeah, he does not shut up in Clone Wars. Also, though, are they going to give them the weird metal legs? Like, are we going to get metal leg Darth Maul? Are we getting that
I wouldn't
version?
mind it.
It'd be kind of cool. I wouldn't be against it, but like, yeah. But then, like, I mean, the thing is that we can open so many doors now, thanks to Clone Wars, thanks to Rebels, thanks to all those kind of shows. Yep. Even the Bad Batch opens a lot of doors for us now as well. I think we need to get live action versions of a lot of these characters. And now that we had a live action Ahsoka, I would love to see an Ahsoka series. What happens to her now? Where does she go? What does she do? Because we see her pop up here and there. What is she doing this whole time? After she leaves, where does she go? Who is she helping people? And that seems what she would do, right? She would be a humanitarian. We know what kind of person she is. And does she cross paths with Obi-Wan at some point, right?
That's what I want.
Right? Does she cross paths with Boba Fett? Now, the Mandalorian has, right? Mm-hmm. So do we get more? Like, there's a lot of stuff there that I think we can.
Potential.
So much potential. And now that we know that there are still Mandalorians all over the place, right? Or at least there were some. We know of the small group that was massacred, and now there's 3 left, I think. Is there 2 left or 3 left now? Whatever, of that group. I think there's only 2 left. I mean,
there's the armorer.
There's the armorer. There's the big one, too, because he didn't die. And then there was the other one, and then Mando. So there was 4, but I think Mando killed the other one. So now there's 3, maybe. Okay.
Yeah, the armorer counts as a Mandalorian. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Well, there was a battle between him and the big guy because he had challenged him to take... Yeah. The
dark saber.
Yeah, exactly. But he didn't win, so
no. So, but I mean, so there's got to be other Mandalorians as well somewhere. Like I would assume. Yeah. And so there's a lot of the world that we need to explore, and there's other planets that we've never been to in the Star Wars universe that we know exist. So. I'm very excited, and we know that Grogu exists. So there's and there has to be a moment of Grogu meeting Yoda, I would think.
I still think, and I'm still on the bandwagon of my own personal feeling that it's Yoda. Went back in time into his younger self or something. Something weird.
I disagree.
I don't think so because we
Yoda to
me. Well, here's the problem though, because we have Yoda older in the Jedi Temple in episodes 1, 2, and 3. Grogu is showing up basically episode 7-ish. 6-ish, 7-ish, right, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So there's something.
There's an overlap. I know, but I wonder in my own little imagination, if I was playing screenwriter, if there was a way and a need for Yoda to go back in time and with the midichlorians became himself in the past and got born to kind of set straight all these things to happen to make way for Luke. Maybe something got compromised in the future.
Well, here's my only concern about that is then Yoda's Force Ghost cannot exist. Because that means that his spirit would have traveled into another body and he would be emboldening. So then now we wouldn't be able to... The Force Ghost thing would not work properly. You can't have 2 consciousness like that.
This whole thing could be a paradox.
If you're talking about
it's Star Wars,
theories,
not Star Trek.
Yeah. If you're talking about crazy theories, then let's revisit the theory of Yoda being Grogu's dad. With Yaddle.
Well, that's what I was just about to say. Maybe Yoda just when he was back, in hiding, essentially, just met Mama Yoda.
We obviously know that Jedis are absolute garbage at staying away from emotional attachment. So it's completely plausible.
I know this is forbidden, but smooch, smooch, smooch.
No, I mean, even Obi-Wan, who's like, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi. And like, still we saw, spoilers, still we saw that in Clone Wars. So it's like, even the best of the best. So I don't completely disagree with that theory. I don't know if it's true or not.
That I could see. That would be awesome. Actually, I would love that to be Yoda's baby. Then it is really baby Yoda at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like we really get it. So I think that's awesome. There's so much here. There's so many layers to what they're doing. They haven't ruined anything for me yet. That's the good part. Is I expected them to ruin something by now. They haven't really ruined anything. They've made things better actually.
Okay.
Except for the last like 3 episode. Like they weren't
because we were traumatized with the sequels. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that I could be like, okay, like you gave me C grade material when you could have been giving me all this A stuff all the time. So yeah.
So what I want to know is, I mean, the Mandalorian season. I mean, we're kind of deviating off of Obi-Wan here, but Mandalorian opens up with the fact that there's this bounty that needs to be found, right? That he wants something different. So he goes and fight. I want to know how it is that Grogu got there. Where did they pick him up from? What's the prequel to that show? Like, because Grogu is like in this weird egg thing, and he's clearly not like just born. He has some skill. They must have taken him from somewhere. So I want to know that story. That's really what That
would be really cool.
I think that would be really interesting to know, because then that could possibly involve other.
We see that he was at a Jedi temple when Order 66 was executed. We even saw clone troopers. That was a little treat there. But yeah, I agree with that. That I want to know what happens from there. How did he get from point A to point B?
Like, how did he get picked up by a bunch of like these people who then how did he get a fob on him? Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That, like, I thought that was something that like they had to have like a part of your signature to be able to track you. So it's like, how does he have a fob attached to him already?
Well, they do, right? Because he was actually at the Jedi Temple, so he was technically already accounted for, right? He was was not a Padawan per se, but he was like in the training there, the starting of training. So his signature would have already been in the database, and when the Empire took over, they did take all the information from the Jedi Temple, all that stuff. They have all the records. They took all the holocrons. They took literally everything, and then they decimated it, right? They were like, this isn't going to exist anymore. Yeah. So we know for a fact that they do own all that information, and you have people who swore allegiance, who were Jedis now swearing allegiance to the Sith. So all those things exist. So that part's easy to do. But I do like your idea of like, where did he go? Like, what happened? Did someone inside the Empire who was trying to sneak them to get away, kind of what we saw in Obi-Wan, did that happen? And then they got murdered or whatever and taken?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's also interesting that he was separate from everything. Yeah. Because that flashback scene where you see him at the Jedi Temple when Order 66 is being executed, it's not like he's surrounded by a bunch of other Padawans like the third sister was. Mm-hmm. He's kind of separate, and the Jedi are protecting him. So I think that's interesting too, that he is his own character. He has his own special story. He's separate from the rest of the children in training, or the Padawans, or whatever say you. So I'd like to learn the reasoning on that also, what the deal is with that.
Is he like a prodigy? Is there some...
It's almost like he was so important that they had to keep him safe. Like if he had to correct things in the timeline. Come on, Hollywood, take my story.
No,
come on.
It's too much. It's too
Star Trek.
It's too Star Trek. It's too MCU as well now. Oh, there's a problem. We have a multiverse to fix that now.
Oh my God, where's Doctor Strange?
Doctor Strange is gonna come out.
He's just gonna come in doing this.
Hello.
Hello there, Grogu. What's up?
Hello there.
Okay, let's talk about at the end, because we're gonna near our end of the episode here finally. But how much did we all freak out when Ewan McGregor said hello there? After all these years of all the memes, all the quotes spanning from the prequels, I think that was great that they did that.
Yeah.
They paid tribute to fans here. This is
I remember-
exactly how we have an effect here, guys.
Yeah.
Yes. I remember watching it with my mom, and we're both on the couch, and she's absolutely freaking out. And I go, Mom, I need you to just calm down, do what I'm doing, grip a pillow, okay? Because that's
Stop
what I'm
grabbing
doing.
my hand so hard, Mom.
Just stay calm. Let's just get through this together. And we did. And we were kind of just left as broken people on the couch.
It was great. I think that this show is definitely exactly what I wanted, and I want to say most fans wanted. The only gripe I have with this show, and we'll do our scores at the end to define what we think of it on our review, but my only problem that I had with the show, and I saw this early on, I want to say episode 2 or 3 of Obi-Wan, was Vader's interaction with Obi-Wan was weird because of the fact with continuity with episode 4, Vader saying to him upon the first meeting before the duel something to the degree of, and I can't quote it, forgive me, last I saw you, I was but a learner, but now I am the master. Like, so that was the last time you saw him, was right in that fight, like with the fire?
I think it's a different connotation of that. I think it has to do with during this series when they meet this technically the very first time since Anakin is fully transitioned into Vader. I think that even then Vader was still getting used to everything and wasn't even fully powerful yet, and
Like he was a new Vader at
like
this
he
point
was still a learner
Yeah.
for
You
Vader.
yourself said that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that because of that, when they do meet in the whatever episode, that like he is actually in fact then like fully
And that would
mastered
that
his
would make sense with
Sith
all the years
lordness,
that takes place after this. So then I guess I guess that would make sense.
Yeah.
At first I was confused because saying he was a learner, I was thinking of Anakin being young Anakin. I
Right.
didn't realize it meant, and I like and appreciated what you said, Emily. It was more of the learning to be Vader, which was a new entity to him. It was like a brand new thing, It wasn't, again, and that's what we saw, and this is making sense. This is why I'm glad you're here on the show with me. This makes sense as to that fight scene at the end of towards Obi-Wan in the ending on the show, where he loses and he says to Obi-Wan, like, you don't have to fret or cry about the fact that you failed, Anakin. I'm the one that killed him. So in other words, he doesn't recognize Anakin at all. So
Right.
he, in that speech, being a learner, is being a learner in Darth Vader as that person.
Here's
That
what he says.
being.
Here's a good line. I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan. We meet again at last. The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner, but now I am the master. And that's true because he was still also, as Darth Vader, still learning from Emperor Palpatine about the dark side.
Yeah.
That is
Still a
true.
learner of that as well.
Right.
And then he became the master. I mean, he is supposedly, although we in the
Took over
expanded
the
universe.
company.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, he did. Well, but also, we know at that point, or supposedly, he's the only other Sith. They leave 2 at this point. Now he's the only one, so he must off everybody else or something. But in the expanded universe, Mara Jade is also his apprentice at one point, and he has other things. So supposedly, so that would make him the master of another Jedi or another Sith as well. So yes, technically, all those things are true, and it could be. He could be talking about every single portion of that. And also, though, you're right. He did say he killed Anakin. Like, I'm the one that did it, not you.
Right,
Like,
right.
I fully... Because when Emperor Palpatine becomes Emperor Palpatine, he never goes back to being the Chancellor, right? Like, he doesn't go back.
Right.
And you see the change, the face and this, and you see the change there in Anakin, too. So, I mean, it's very possible.
That's what happens when you let the hate flow through you.
Well,
Let it flow through you.
The Emperor Palpatine, the only reason he had that affliction on his face was because he was using the lightning, the electricity,
Right.
so extensively. Like the Force was just like sucking him dry, and you could see it in that scene. Oh gosh,
He turned into a big old prune.
Sam Jackson.
Yeah, he's fighting Mace Windu. He's fighting Mace Windu at the... Yeah.
Yeah. So like when he does that, you can see as he's doing it, it's just getting like he's just turning more and more decrepit. Like it's
Or was he always that way? And the it's been removed now that you know he is a Sith, right? There's also the story that the Emperor kept cloning himself, that supposedly there's more clones of the Emperor. So there's all these different things that it could just be a shell that then once it's released, once the dark side fully comes out, then that's his true form, you know.
I mean, would that explain Rise of the Skywalker? What happened there
Yes, I
with
think.
Palpatine?
That would
That would make sense
a lot of
because I always
sense.
wondered that.
Yeah.
I was like, what the
I didn't
heck?
even think about that.
That would be an explanation. I would accept that because I had no explanation before and I just kind of went with it. But that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, there is a theory in the expanded universe that the Emperor has cloned himself. That's why Kamino is so important at one
Yeah.
point. That's why they took it back over. That's why they stopped making clone troopers, because they make clones of the Emperor there.
The theories
Yeah.
and the stories.
I know, there's
are
so many
endless.
pieces. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
almost like you need a big. It's almost like you need a big universe to fill it all.
Oh, what?
Anyway,
Unheard of.
Okay, so
Who would
I
do
would ask,
that?
was there or has there been a confirmation for season 2 of Obi-Wan?
nothing
haven't
yet.
heard anything.
Not to my
Because
knowledge.
I cannot imagine that they just leave it with this Jedi ghost of Qui-Gon and that's it. Like,
Yeah.
why would they just have it featured there? And he's like, oh, it makes it sound like, okay, we're closing this chapter, we're gonna start another one. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
It could. It's very open. I don't see how it wouldn't be open. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if they ended it here. I don't want that. I want it. I want it to happen. But
Where is
it's the
everyone
power.
hanging out at, though? What planet does everyone keep going back to?
Tatooine.
Jakku. There is
Not
Everybody
Jakku.
wants a tan at Tatooine.
so there is a theory that, in Clone Wars we see that there is special training that's needed in order to become a Force ghost after one dies. So what if when Qui-Gon shows up, he bestows some magical teachings on Obi-Wan, and that's one of them? Because Qui-Gon obviously went through that. Yoda, we saw, went through that in Clone Wars. So I think that would be an interesting avenue for Obi-Wan to go through, maybe just to complete some more training a little bit and watch over Luke a little bit more,
just be
because we
prepared
got
to
so
always
little of
be
him.
there.
Yeah.
So,
It's the insurance policy.
and so how did you become a Force ghost? Nice
Well,
big laugh.
you
Nice big
struck me
laugh,
down with
James.
a savage comment.
Wow, I really
Strike
felt that.
me down.
That chuckle really got to me.
You're fired. This is awesome. I am so happy we did this. We definitely have to wrap it up. We left off Obi-Wan right now at this point in beginning of July of 2022. It is at 83% average tomato rating at Rotten Tomatoes, 63% average audience. I don't think that's good enough. I think people need to step it up on their ratings. No.
Come on.
But I
Step
think
it up,
this is the
people.
kind of thing that they're waiting on, because it's not box office sales. They're not looking at that. They're looking at viewership. They're looking at what kind of merchandise is made after Obi-Wan. Are they buying this stuff? This is the stuff that they need to see. Podcasts like Making a Geek podcast,
Yeah.
where we talk about it, and this is the stuff that will make season 2 happen. So
Let's go, guys.
fans, make it happen. We have the power, not Lucasfilms.
Well,
They have
Maybe-
the power.
maybe a
They have
little
the power.
They
And all the money. And all the money.
So before we wrap up, I want to get everybody's ratings. Again, this is a numbered system, very sophisticated number system. It's 1 through 10. I'm going to start with James. James, what do you give Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series that premiered on Disney Plus?
I would have to give it an 8.5. And I only say that because I didn't get everything I wanted, and I didn't, and there were slow moments that I felt like we could have pushed past real fast. But we also got Ice Cube's son, so I'm happy with that too.
Yeah.
That works as well. So
That's
there
a
you
little
go.
factoid for you. Michaela Myers, what did you say? What say you regarding the score here?
Out of 10, 9.85. Just
Wow.
because
It's very specific.
15 points redacted, just because I also didn't get everything that I wanted. And all of that with the Grand Inquisitor very much annoyed me. But it was only
That's
15 points, so be grateful.
Yes.
Oh,
They could have done more.
Miss Emily Turner, what is your score for Obi-Wan?
I think I would give it like maybe 7 or 8. To James' point, I think that there were a few slow parts. I just remembered this off the top of my head, but there was a moment where Obi-Wan and Leia are getting out of the back of the truck, or just before that woman who was undercover.
Where she comes to save
Oh,
them, right? Okay.
Right.
Yeah, so
Tala? It was something like Tala or something.
Yeah.
yeah,
that's right.
Tolly, I think. Right?
I
Anyway.
think so, yeah.
Something with a
Either
T.
way, right before she shows up, there's like that field, that gate thing that they're trying to figure out how to get past.
Oh,
and
yeah.
there's this one part where I just looked at it. I was like, "Are you kidding me right now?" Like,
could just
if you
hop
look,
over.
if you look,
There was a
at the
gap.
Fence, if you looked at the fence and how it was built, it was like this is meant to keep cattle out, and that makes sense. But like a person could just go around the little post here. There's nothing. There was nothing. It was just the mountain started going like this, right? So it's like, just go around. Just go around. It's like, it was one of those moments like, I
Really
can't find the
planned.
remote. I'll never watch TV again. It's like, no, this is not how that works. Let's do some like extra thinking here, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there were little moments like that where
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, guys. Let's
I agree.
let's have some common sense, really. I mean,
Right.
we know not to go in the basement when we hear a funny noise, right? We've learned this lesson from countless numbers of movies. We know that by looking at a fence, if the thing is up, you can go around it. I thought that was funny, but yeah, I
I
would give
agree.
it a 7 or an 8.
Well, which is it, 7 or 8?
Okay, it was 7.5.
7.5 then. Okay.
Boom. There you go.
7.5 because of the fence.
Yeah, I just was not impressed. I was like, come on, guys, this is stupid.
Just for the last 2 episodes, my rating will go to a 9, a full 9. And the reason for that is because, I didn't get everything I wanted. The pace could have been a little bit better in the beginning, though I will always consume anything Star Wars. So, okay, it's a pleasure to watch. But if I had to critique it, it took a bit much to get started. And I think that the ending, that is what I personally wanted to see. I wanted to see that fight. I wanted to see that interaction. I wanted to see Vader become full Vader to Obi-Wan, because it's almost like, I don't know, if it was a breakup in a relationship, whether it was platonic or not. It's almost like you need that confirmation and that closure to be like, you really are dead or gone, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's what he needed to see from Anakin. It was that confirmation of like, you didn't do anything. Rest easy. It was me. Like, I killed him.
I don't know about
So-
rest easy, but
Not rest easy, but just kind of like, just don't
Rest
beat yourself
on your
up over it.
more
laurels,
like
Obi-Wan.
sleep with one
Yeah,
eye
don't-
open.
Don't
No,
beat yourself
don't blame
up over it.
yourself
I'll
for
beat
this.
you up.
Yeah.
Don't blame yourself for this. Yeah.
So that would give it a full 9. I would say that the fans that are out there that have listened to this really, really, really would love to hear from you guys again. But instead of giving us props of that it's a great show, I really want to hear from you. What are your thoughts and opinions of Obi-Wan Kenobi? What would you rate it? What do you want to see? That is what Star Wars is all about. So really happy we did this, guys. Before we go, James, I'm going to ask you for your social media stuff. Where are you located?
At the Queen Comedy Podcast on Instagram or jamesdcrevison.com.
Was that Queen Comedy Podcast? Is that what you said?
Clean. At the Clean Comedy Podcast. Yes,
Okay,
Clean
Clean,
Comedy
okay.
Podcast.
You could be a queen if you want.
Y'all's
The
Michaela,
dancing queen.
Michaela, you're a Force ghost, so there is no social media.
Force Ghost
Plugs
can't
for
have
you.
Force social media. Is that what's happening? Is there
You don't find Michaela Myers. She finds you.
She finds you.
Yeah. I mean,
She appears.
technically you can on like Fast People Search or whatever, but I mean,
Yeah.
just
No.
don't bother.
There's not much. There's not much there.
No, I'm not that interesting.
Yeah.
Miss Emily, where can folks find you on social media?
At Emily_Turner. Emily is spelt with an IE at the end.
IE, get it right. You can find me at Damien_DeCarlo. That is with an A, Damien. I had to say that. I have to start saying that now because someone keeps spelling it with an E, and they told me, and well, you've been doing it wrong.
Like Damian
Yeah.
Wayne.
Yeah, there you go.
you
Collectively, you can find us at makingageek.com. And until next time, everybody, not only may the Force be with you, but what do we say on the show, James?
I always forget.
Incorrect. It's keep calm and geek out, everybody. Good night.
I'm gonna get it one time. One time I'm gonna get it. You're
Just
gonna
one time, you'll get it.